Hey you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am super excited about this video today. This is part of a new series, a new segment. I'm ecstatic to dive into this close-up series, talking to other photographers, other professionals in the industry so that you can learn a little bit more. I'm super excited about this first interview. It's one of my good friends, a photographer here in Utah. If you are a faithful Instagram follower, you probably already know who it is. He is an incredible destination wedding photographer. So this episode is packed with so many good little nuggets. So I'm super excited for you to dive in. Okay, Blake, introduce yourself first of all.
Of course.
Tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Blake Hogge. I'm 27 years
Okay,
old.
it's Hogge. First of all, I literally didn't ever know that, and I was too embarrassed to ask.
I grew up in Utah my whole life. I've been photographing full-time for 3 years now, and I'm obsessed with it. So
okay, I love that. And you're full-time, right?
I am
okay,
full-time.
Cool. So are you based, you do like destination work and stuff
Yes.
now? So
Yep.
do you do like, is it mostly 50-50? Like, what are you kind of specializing in right now?
I would say I'm like 70% destination and 30% local right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So tell me, how did you like kind of get into this? How did you
Yeah,
like, fall into the
so
industry?
I served a full-time LDS mission
Okay.
about, how long has it been now? 7 years ago? Wow.
Dang.
It's insane.
I know. It's like when the other day I told someone that I was a freshman in college 5 years ago, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm an actual
on.
grandpa
Yeah.
now, so it's fine. So right when I got home, I mean, my parents just got me an iPhone, and I just started taking pictures of it, going outside and nature. And I was like, this is fun.
And probably like an iPhone like 3. I love that.
Yeah, iPhone 3, whatever was out at the time. And I asked for a camera for Christmas that year I got home, and I got like a Canon Rebel SL1 or something.
Okay.
And then I started taking like landscapes on that, and then I started to get into like portrait photography.
Okay, cool.
So just like single portraits, like either male or female, going outside. My really good mission companion actually confronted me and was like, hey, like, have you ever shot a wedding before? And I was like, nope. And he's like,
wait, this is while you're still like on the iPhone?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I love that.
Well, I had just gotten the DSLR.
Gotten the camera. Okay,
yes. And he's like, well, would you want to shoot mine? And I was like, probably not, because I've never done one, and that makes me really nervous, and you probably want to hire like a professional.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I've seen your stuff, and we don't have a big budget, and we trust you, so would you be willing to try? And if it doesn't work out, like, and the pictures are like not good, then like we just honestly don't care. But
that's like the most trusting thing.
Oh,
I've ever
I know.
heard.
I couldn't even believe it, because like now if I'm getting married, like I'm gonna like go out of my way.
You're like, if it works
take
out.
time. Oh yeah, I'm just if it works out, if you
if
you
not,
lose the
that's
pictures,
fine.
it's fine. Yeah. So
oh gosh.
Anyway, I did it, and I fell in love with it ever since.
Here
and
you are. So you obviously specialize in weddings, bridals, and get all the like wedding world stuff. Do you do anything outside of that?
I'm 5%. Like I'm starting to get into like fashion editorial, so I shoot for like one local clothing company, like not very often.
Cool.
And then I actually just shot my first bridal lookbook, which was very fun.
Oh my gosh, that's like, for me is like my favorite thing, because it's like the best of both worlds.
Totally.
It's like weddings
that like screams your
fashion.
brand. I feel like yes.
Fashion bridals are like.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
This is one of my favorite things to ask wedding photographers specifically, because weddings they're just like a whole nother game.
Yeah.
But what is like, it's such a broad question, so sorry, but like, what is your favorite part about shooting weddings specifically?
Shooting weddings specifically, honestly, I don't know if it's much shooting, as more as getting to know my couples. Yeah. I think that's my favorite part.
I love
and that way I'm able to capture them.
Yeah. And
that's
like
my goal. Right.
Yeah.
That's my goal every time going into like a client meeting or a Skype call, to get to know them, kind of get a feel of how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't want their shoot to feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over, to like
routine.
Right. Yep. And that was the goal for me for a while, was to get like very trendy, very like, that's, I mean,
yeah, when
you know
everyone
what I mean?
first starts.
Yes.
I think that's
You don't
know what you're doing, so
Right.
it's so easy to just be like, well, this is what's trendy, so let's just like start there.
Right.
Like it's the easiest thing
Right.
to do in
And
the
if you
beginning.
think about it, I mean, it is the easiest way because you obviously want to book more.
Yeah.
And that's just the route that I chose to do at the beginning. And would I change it? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it teaches you a lot.
Yeah, it teaches you a lot because I was able to finally realize like what I'm passionate about and what my style is. And I feel like over even just the past like 6 months, I've like really like feel like I'm
honed in on that.
I know like what my brand is and I know like what my style is.
What you're all about.
Yes.
That was like one of the next things I wanted to ask you, because you're like really interesting, because there's some photographers that are really good friends with their clients, but they're like really loud and like extroverted, and so it like totally makes sense with their personality.
Yep.
And one of the things that I love about you and your business is like you're not necessarily like this super loud, like in your face person, but you have such an incredible relationship with your clients and even with your like audience on Instagram. Like I always feel like every time I look at your posts and I look at your comments or people that share your photos, you have like a little mini cult following. Like Blake's followers love Blake. Like it's the cutest. It makes me happy. Like you just have such a good relationship with not only your clients but your audience in general. And that was one of the things I wanted to ask you, is like how you feel like that's played a role in your business and kind of like how you go about your client relationships to make sure that you're actually getting to know them and like having a relationship.
Right. Like I said, at first my business was like very like, oh, I want to focus on this.
Yeah.
Not really focus more on myself. And lately I feel like what's really been benefiting me is kind of breaking out of those norms and really like showing my audience myself. Yeah, my like true
who
self.
You are.
Totally.
I love that.
Yep. And I feel like that's, I mean, as generic as that sounds, like that's basically it.
That's like my favorite thing to talk about with creatives is like your job is never more fulfilling and honestly successful, in my opinion, than when you're honestly like true to yourself. Totally. And you just lean into that rather than like it's so like my brand is obvious, like it's so trendy right now for like adventure elopements for one thing, and that's like trendy doesn't mean bad, it's just different, and that's not really my thing. And so I know when I first started, especially like studios weren't that cool a couple years ago.
No, they weren't.
And so it's like so scary for people to kind of like lean into what they actually like if it's not the really trendy thing.
Yes.
But that is like, I talk about it all the time, so I'll try to keep it concise before I go off.
Yeah,
but
no, go
like,
off.
I just think like when you like are genuine in your business and genuine with your clients, like that energy flows through everything. And like it's such a cool energy to like put into the universe, and like that passion, once you're passionate about your work, everyone else can see that, and that's what people want to connect to, especially like on wedding days. Like you said, like you're with people on their wedding day as much as they're with their spouse, if not more.
Totally.
Like,
I
always tell my brides, I'm like, you're gonna see me more than your
husband.
Spouse.
Yeah.
Like, so
you are. Get used to it.
You like me. Yeah. But like that's why it's so important for like, I want my clients to know how passionate I am about my work. Because I don't want to just be some, wet blanket on their wedding day.
No, yeah, like, definitely not. That's not fun.
No,
that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah, for no one.
No. And that's what I like to focus on, is like just like even from the initial first email you get, like I just try to be like, at first I was told like you need to be very business oriented. Yeah. Make sure there's no like grammatical errors. Yeah. And that's just not me. Yeah. So I do typos on my story and my captions all the time, and I'm sure I do typos in my emails too.
Me posting a story the other day saying my email was hello@gmail.
I was like, Eden, did you really get that?
Blake
That's like so impressive.
Like, is this real? Like, no.
It's like I was very impressed that you got that email because it's simple.
I'm like, when Gmail began 30 years ago, I was the first one
to get it.
Sign up. And I got hello@gmail. Like, so cool, because I'm the opposite. I'm very like business oriented in the front, and I don't think either way is like right or wrong. It really is like your people, like my people, like business oriented, like formal stuff, and your people probably would not like the way I do things, and that's why they're not my people. That's why they're yours.
That's why it's so cool, is like it's just like what you said, just like the art of photography in itself, like photographing and the business aspect, there's no right or wrong. It's so subjective.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it is once you finally figure out what you're doing, like what your style is, then just stick to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be yourself.
And there's clients for everyone.
Yes.
And I feel like that's kind of where people get hung up, especially like we're both located in Utah where there's a million photographers.
Yep.
And I think people get stressed out that like there's not going to be clients for everyone, and there really is. Like there's enough clients for everyone.
Oh,
so
100%.
You don't have to like fake stuff in order to get clients.
No, you do not.
No, not at all.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about artistic style and voice, I want to hear, because you've kind of already touched on this, like your style has changed. So I kind of want to ask, like, one, how you found your style, like how you kind of got into that once you feel like you were getting out of the trends and actually like finding your own artistic voice, and then kind of what that process has been, because your style is kind of changing. Like I've kind of seen it myself through the things that you post a little, and not like, you know, any like huge leap, like you didn't like 180 your style, but like it's transforming, which I love to see. I think it's so cool.
It's
so
so
hear about
fun.
That.
I don't know, I just really started to realize like I was getting comfortable, and that's not really something that like I've really been doing my whole life. I've been making myself stretch, making myself you know, do those things that are not like the easiest route, like obviously like not going to school, like that was not an easy decision.
No, super non-traditional.
Yeah, super not being a male wedding photographer, also very hard. And I was able to overcome that as well. And I just realized that like looking at my work, I just wasn't really feeling anything.
Yeah, you were getting like too comfy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I realized like I was just gonna make a change, and I set up a whole bunch of shoots where I was really like, this is what I want to do. And it really benefited me, and it kind of made me feel like when I first started again, and it was the best feeling ever.
I love that.
And I'm still feeling that way, and I hope I continue to feel that way with how my style and voice has changed.
Yeah.
Because it's been the best year of my career so far.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is something I've been talking about a lot with like creatives and just like in general, is that being uncomfortable. I mean, there's obviously like a line, right? Like don't put yourself in danger or anything like that, or do something morally wrong.
Right.
But like when you are uncomfortable, that is like where the coolest things happen.
Yes.
Like nothing creative or magnificent ever happens in your comfort zone.
Yep.
Like it just doesn't happen.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about your relationships with your clients, but when you come into these shoots and these weddings, obviously it's like a new client every time, which is one of the things I love about this job, but it's like so hard to explain to people outside the industry, is like you are with someone on their wedding day. Like you're basically like spending as much time on the wedding day as the bride and groom do. Like you're so into it, and you've just met them, and then you probably will never see them again. Like it's such a weird, like fast relationship, but it's like so personal for the short amount of time. It's such a like weird thing to like explain to people. But how and where like do you find your inspiration with your couples, with your shoots? Like what kind of things, I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this, but like where do you find the inspiration to create individualistic like images and experiences for each of your clients?
I just think that initially starts with like the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Like talking with them as the bride's getting ready, as the groom's getting ready, and you can kind of determine how like your couple, like if they have a set 30 to an hour aside from the wedding date for couple portraits after the ceremony. I usually use that time to kind of develop that relationship and to be able to help them, but not only me, but them to, you know, feel comfortable. Obviously, like you've been building that relationship with them via email and Skype
Yeah.
calls. So it's all led up to that moment, and you obviously like want to make sure that their wedding day is all about them.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it has nothing to do with us as photographers.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like is being talked about more.
Yeah. Which
Because
I
there
love.
was like, I'd say the last 2 years, 2.5 years is when it was like very
Out of
trendy,
control.
so
Yeah.
out of control. Photographers making their couples do stuff on their wedding day that they didn't necessarily want to do.
Yeah. Because it was
And
like you had to get the
you had
picture
to-
for Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Instagram has completely 100% changed the wedding industry
Yeah.
in amazing ways and not amazing
Yeah.
ways.
I almost think of it like, if we're looking at scales, like
Yes.
one side of the scale was like so low, like all you did was care about your clients and like there was no artistic drive, and then it
Right.
like flipped with Instagram and no one cared about their clients. That's a generalization.
Yes.
But like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like the priority was like create
Right.
art, like just get good images. Like that's all anyone cared about for like
Yep.
a couple years. And I feel like we're finally kind of like reaching this like really
Yep.
beautiful middle ground.
Yes.
And that's like one of my favorite things to tell newer photographers is that like, as a photographer, you should be able to create insane, beautiful, artistic images without dropping the other side, like without
Yes.
dropping your clients' priorities and personalities and
Yes.
preferences. Like that's your entire job. That's like why they're
Yes.
going to hire you.
Yep.
So I think it's so cool that we're finally
Me
reaching
too.
this point.
Me too. And I've talked to so many people about this, and I've just gotten to the point where it's like, let's just focus on our couples.
Yeah.
You know? And at the same time, it's like they hired you for a reason, and you need to respect that.
Yeah.
You need to be there for them 100%. And if you don't have enough time to get certain shots that you want, like, tough.
Tough luck. That's what styled shoots are for.
Yep. If you want certain looks, set up your own shoot. But
Yeah.
this is about them, and you need to be focusing on them and making sure that when you send the final gallery, they're 100% happy.
Yeah.
And that you got all of the images and moments that they wanted captured.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think too, I had a client once who said this to me and it like stuck with me forever. But she told me like, we hired you because we wanted to like see our wedding day through your eyes. And I
love
was
that.
like, like that's so cool.
It is so
like,
cool and also so scary.
yeah, super scary.
Yep.
Not a little bit of
But
pressure,
I
but a
know
lot.
your clients meant that in like the best
Oh
way
yeah.
possible.
Oh, and she said that I think
Yeah.
even like after I delivered her final gallery. So
Yeah.
it was like I knew she meant it like so sweetly, and it was
Yes,
such
and so
a
genuinely.
humbling. Yeah, it was
Yes.
such a like humbling moment that like that is how my clients want to remember their wedding day is
Right.
like through my eyes. And so I think that's so important when you go into wedding days to remember that like you're in charge of like preserving what that day was, not just like what they look like in their wedding dress.
Yes.
Like it's so much more than that.
Yes.
So I think that's really cool.
Yep.
Okay, so I wanted to ask if you had like a specific moment or shoot or wedding, just like even a month, but an experience that you feel like was really pivotal in
Totally.
your career in general.
Totally. So last year, seriously, like it was a year ago, like last week.
Okay.
I was in Yosemite for the very first time shooting an elopement. I was
Ooh.
pumped. I was so pumped,
Yeah.
and it was so beautiful. And it was all about them.
Mhm.
They had 5 other guests, I think,
Oh, I
that
love
we
that.
hiked Taft Point together, and it was so awesome.
Okay.
When I got home, my brother actually pointed out to me that a feature account had posted a certain amount of images a couple of times.
Okay.
And then I just kind of realized,
Like one of your photos?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was like their 4th time posting the same picture.
Oh.
Yeah. Why are they sharing that image over and over and over?
Yeah. Feature accounts
Like-
can get kind of schmarmy.
Yes, they
They,
can
like,
be.
Fake that
And-
you use their presets to sell
Oh.
their they basically
I'm
just
so-
profit off of other
Oh,
people's work.
I'm so passionate about this. This is actually like when I get offered to teach at workshops. This is what I teach on.
Oh, I love that, because it's something that people don't
self-love
know.
and authenticity and building your brand is so important to me now. For this past, like, that's what I've been doing this entire year since then, is really focusing on that so that my clients are 100% happy with my final product. And I just realized, like, that's not what I want to focus on anymore. Not going out, getting the shot for Instagram, to go viral, to get featured. It's not what I'm about anymore.
I love that.
And I feel like that was a really pivotal moment in my career to make me realize, like, it was a really big eye-opener for me to realize, like, I was doing it, like, for the wrong reasons.
No, I think we all,
like, as blunt as that sounds, and it makes my heart screech that I even went through that phase.
But we all have, honestly.
No, I mean, and I know that, like, it's just like something that, you know, like, sometimes you go through very selfish times in your life, and where you want to really focus on yourself in not such a good way. But I'm also all about focusing on yourself. Making sure that you're taking care of that is very important to me in the right way.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
I feel like that particular moment in my career helped me to be able to remember that.
Yeah, kind of like a wake-up call, almost. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's talk about, I want to ask you a few things about like the industry in general, maybe for people who are just getting started, or they're kind of at the beginning, or maybe they just like, you know, I think of like growth in business, it comes in such stages. So maybe, you know, they're at the stage before you have the wake up call that like it's better to just be yourself and not have recognition. Like, do you know what I mean? So for someone who is just getting started and they feel like they're stuck in the trendy zone, or like they're just not sure where to go from there, because I think that is like the stage of your business that you almost, at least for me, you stay in the longest, because it's like you have, like, when you first get started in photography, you can learn how to be a photographer. It's super easy to find out what the trends are and to just kind of like
dive in,
lean into that. But it's kind of hard. You have to do a lot of self-reflection, I feel like, to figure out what that next step is. So what advice do you have for people who are not sure like where they should go after that step?
So my advice to those people, because I've been there, is do a little bit of everything.
I like
Test it out. Like, if you want to do weddings, second shoot for somebody, or especially mentor with someone that you look up to. I'm a big advocate for that. Instead of spending all your money on workshops and presets,
I can talk about presets for like 20 hours. So anyway.
Same. Focus on someone that you look up to 100%. Ask if they offer anything like that. And I know without a doubt, they will go over everything that you have questions about. I know for a fact that they shouldn't be teaching.
Absolutely. So, and like sometimes just getting an outside perspective is so helpful. Like, I know when I was making a big shift in my photography, I hired a photographer who I really admired just for like an hour of mentoring. And I literally was like, I just want you to like tear apart my posing. Like, I'm stuck in a rut. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Can you just like an hour of just straight CC, which is hard to hear sometimes, but
no,
it's so necessary.
It is
like,
so necessary.
That's where you grow the most.
Yes, and that's why I'm obsessed when you do website critics. Is that how you'd say
critiques?
That? Website critiques.
Critiques,
is when you put yourself like on a pedestal and are asking for advice. I mean, it's scary and it's not fun.
It comes down to like the comfort zone thing again. Like,
and if you're not comfortable with hearing self-criticism and how you can improve, then like, I don't know what else to tell you.
It's just not in the cards long term for you.
No, it's not.
You have to get comfortable with it.
No, you do.
No, I love that. And I love what you said about trying a lot of different things, because that's like one of my biggest suggestions for people. And even when if I do the website critiques, or when people hire me for mentoring, one of the things I can almost guarantee I'll see in their portfolio is that they're doing the same thing over and over again. Like, they're shooting at the same time of day. Same gear, same lens, same color like palette, like everything's just the same every time.
Seriously, like shoot at different times of the day. Like, because it's like you say all the time, and I love it, is like if you cannot shoot at midday, no clouds, and you are not comfortable like direction wise and where the sun is it's just all so critical, and like exposing correctly, like it's gonna go very badly.
Yeah, you can do that if you're like exclusively a portrait photographer, like
right.
You don't ever do events, but if you're a wedding photographer and you can only shoot a golden hour,
yeah, it's just
bad news.
It is.
It's horrible news.
It is. And you have to know artificial light too. Off-camera flash is so important. I can't stress that enough either, because I mean, if you can't just crank up your ISO and expect your images to turn out.
No, you can't like deliver images
right.
at 10,000
or just
ISO.
Put on a flash and hope like, oh, I'm going to shoot at 2,000 shutter like normal. Like you can't do that.
Oh, I've had photographers come to me before and be like, why is there a line through my flash images? And I'm like,
your shutter's too high. Home slice. Yeah.
Like that stresses me out. I'm like, you shot an event and you didn't know how flash even worked? Yikes. Experiment. That's the moral of the story.
Yes. So, I mean, if you're wanting to do stuff like that, like I'm saying, it's just like offer your services. Test it out. Don't feel pressured. Like don't feel like you need to be hired to do something. Like if you want to do something, set it up.
Yep.
If you want to shoot like inside low light situations where you have to use your off-camera flash, then do it.
Yeah, make it happen yourself before you're like thrown into a situation where you have to scramble.
Yep.
Okay, second industry-wide question. What do you feel like is the best investment you've ever made into your business?
100% the workshop I went to that Larkin Kendall hosted. That was a very pivotal moment in my career. It was my second year full time. So at that point I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've looked up to her forever. And I love her.
She's amazing.
She is awesome and I love her. And it was just so refreshing to go to a space like that where I was making myself vulnerable, because at that point I was like, I don't know if I want to go to any more workshops. I feel like I already know everything.
Yep.
But
I'm an expert.
Yeah, I'm an expert wedding photographer. But I was at that, like, that's when I was like kind of at my low point.
Yeah.
Realizing like I didn't know like what I wanted to do. And I admired most about it was she was 100% open. Yeah. And I had so many questions that like I wanted to improve on, and what I loved about it was it wasn't like a tiptoe like sneak around.
It wasn't like a money grab.
No, it was not a money grab. Workshops nowadays are money grabbers, and people are like, I've been shooting for 2 years now, so I can host a workshop. No. Like,
oh, there are people in Utah that I literally like had them DM me asking like, should I get a 35 millimeter? And then like 2 months later, they're like, anyway, I'm hosting a workshop. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, that can't be right.
No, I mean, you need to realize like they're expecting you to 100% be able to pick apart your brain and what you have experienced thus far in your career. And if you're not willing to be 100% open and feel comfortable sharing that information, or even just like teaching in general is just not for everybody.
Yeah,
like,
it's really not.
I'm sorry to be blunt. It's just not. It's really not.
It's not in the cards for everyone.
No,
for
it's not. And you need to realize like if that's something that you maybe want to try and do, it goes back to the aspect of making it about you again. Yeah, it all comes back to that. Yeah. Like, are you teaching for your potential clients that want to learn from you, or are you just doing it because you want to stand out and be popular? Yeah. And because that's what like all of the popular photographers do, is teach workshops and make a quick buck. Yeah.
I think with workshops, one of like the two biggest pieces of advice I have for people looking into them, because I do think going to workshops, like you said, like they are very beneficial. Yeah, you should go to them. Yes. But one, make sure it is someone that can teach you more than just how to shoot a styled shoot.
Yes.
Like, you should not be paying for a portfolio boost that's only going to last 1 month that 40 other people have in their portfolio. That sucks. Hire someone who is leaps and bounds ahead of where you are rather than someone who was in your shoes like 6 months ago. Like, you don't want to hire that person. They're not that far ahead of you.
No, they're not.
And then someone told me this, I don't remember who, so if they're watching this, sorry, I'm not crediting you, I can't remember, but someone once told me, like, the best way to really get a feel of like what someone will be like as a paid educator is to look into their free content. Like, what do they offer for free? Like, do they have freebies, and are those actually helpful? Because if they are, then they're probably going to actually be like open books when you pay them. Even more so. Like,
I love that,
because I think that really is such a good sign, because I know educators where like they'll put out freebies and you'll watch it and you'll be like, that's like common knowledge, like that's kind of helpful, I guess, if you were like day one of your career, but like that's not really that helpful. And then I know there are people who offer freebies that I would have paid for. Like, the freebies are so amazing, I would have paid for them.
Oh yeah. So me too.
I think it's so important that you like look into that, because if someone's offering, like, if you can tell that because that's the thing about freebies, right? They're free, so they're doing it genuinely because they care.
They do.
Yeah.
Why
like,
else would they be doing it? Because, I mean, like you said, most of the time I feel like most of the freebie things that I've watched or looked at or participated in, I'm like, I would have paid for this.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I should have paid for this.
Exactly. And that seriously goes to show you that they are genuinely passionate about sharing their brain and their information that they have gained over their experience of their career.
Yeah.
And another thing too is reviews.
Yeah.
Reviews for everything.
Everything.
So if they don't have good reviews or any at all,
or no reviews,
that's a red flag.
Yeah, that's like bad news for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to education too, one of the things I think that is so important that people realize before they invest in education is like, you've actually got to be prepared to like go balls to the wall. Like, you can't purchase education and then be like, they're gonna fix my business for me.
Right.
They're gonna show you how to fix your business yourself.
Right.
Like, so you have to be prepared to actually do the work,
implement what is being taught.
Like, I've done education where I probably was not like in the headspace I should have been, and that money was like essentially wasted. And not because the educator didn't do their job, but because I didn't do my job as the student. Like, I wasn't prepared to do everything I needed. And I've seen that in my own clients as well. Like, I'll have people that take the same mentoring program for me, and one of them will like completely change their business from head to toe.
Right.
And then the other one will just kind of be like, well, I couldn't do it. Like, there's always an excuse of why they couldn't do something. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's important.
It's a two-way street.
It's
100%.
a two-way street. Yeah.
It's totally up to you once, I mean, like I said, I go everything into full force and expect the best in every situation in life.
Yeah.
And that's how you need to go in with education as well.
Yeah.
Is like, you need to be confident in the workshop or mentoring session that you're going to do. Go full on, bring a notepad, write those notes, but at the end of the day, it's totally up to you how you actually implement what you learned.
I love that. Okay, let's end on a light note. I want to know what the most embarrassing thing is that's ever happened to you at work. Do you have a story?
Yep. I'm going to get really vulnerable here.
I can't wait.
I'm a pretty real person, so here we go.
Buckle up,
This
kids.
actually just happened too, like 2 months ago.
Oh my gosh,
and it was the most embarrassing and not good
I'll share mine
experience.
too after, so that you're not alone.
So I had an engagement session.
Okay.
I didn't want to bring my huge bag with me.
Okay.
So I only brought one
Like
body, one battery, and I thought I brought my memory cards. I didn't bring my memory cards.
Oh.
So I pulled out my camera and I realized that there was not a memory card. I looked in my bag, my memory cards were not there.
My chest right now is like tight.
So this goes to show you that I am a human being. And I just keep all my stuff in my bag, backups, everything. I bring both my cameras now. It was just such a big
Yeah,
mistake.
sometimes it just happens.
Yeah,
No,
it was just such
I've
a big
done-
mistake. And it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever had to say to a client ever. I had someone bring me them. I stayed with my couple. And we just chatted. It was nice.
That's actually not like the worst thing I've ever heard.
It wasn't.
I'm embarrassed to tell my
no,
story. No,
I wanted to throw up.
Oh, I'm sure.
But
I probably would have.
It ended up being fine, and we chatted about life and got to know each other a little bit better. My friend came and gave me my memory cards, and we started shooting, and they loved the pictures, and it was a happily ever after.
And that's why, too, finding clients that you connect with is so important. Because if you were shooting with someone that was like not your kind of person at all,
that would have been
so much worse.
They were so understanding, and their wedding was actually last week, 2 weeks ago.
Nice. I love that.
It was awesome.
And it was amazing.
And they were
you
awesome.
had your memory cards.
I had my memory cards, and I joked it. I shot their bridal session as well, and her mom came to like everything and was like, "You brought your memory cards, right?"
She like has spares for you.
And she's like, "I know, yep." And so it was just kind of like the inside joke for the rest of our relationship.
I love that. It worked out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
But anyway, it's okay to make mistakes. I do it every day.
It happens to the best of us. This was a wedding I shot a couple years ago. It was like they had a ceremony at sunset, aka those people that like choose literally when the sun goes down to like get married, you know? Where you're like, no, sunset's like an hour before.
Right.
So it was
it
like
in the mountains?
It was like in their backyard, but it was like encased in trees, so it was like dark by the end.
Okay.
So thankfully it stayed like ambient enough. It was in Texas, so the sun, like there's no mountains blocking things.
I've never been to Texas.
By the time the ceremony was done, it was like pretty dark. I was able to shoot the ceremony with ambient light, but for the family photos, I had to do like all artificial light. So it was kind of on like the bottom of this little hill. They had made like all these homemade, this is key, homemade benches for the guests to sit on. So I set up all my lights because it's on like kind of a hill. I like get on top of one of the benches so that I have like, you know, a little bit of higher ground and not like looking up at them or anything weird. So, I get on one of the benches. I shoot with dual camera straps.
Right.
And I have 2 off-camera flashes right next to me. And the bench breaks like a leg bus. And I
tumble down.
I fall into all the flash gear. I've got 2 camera bodies on me. I like, and it was not like a bench like, you know,
like, was it higher than this?
It was probably like standing on this chair.
That's
like
still
here.
Awful.
Yeah, that's like a good like what, 1.5 feet, maybe even 2 feet.
Totally.
Like
100%.
To fall like flat down. So I like knocked over all my flash gear. I land like on my cameras, and it's like one of those things where when stuff like that happens at work, first of all, so embarrassing. Like you're just like, can I retire? Like,
am I done?
Can I just be done today forever?
Yeah.
So they like run over to me and are like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, okay, but are my cameras okay? Like,
right. I don't care about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even care about me or my flash is okay. I think I actually did like bust open like a trigger, like a flash trigger. Like it did bust a few things, but my cameras were okay.
That's good.
And it was like one of those things where you just try to walk it off. I remember I like hurt my elbow and stuff, and I was just like, no, we're cool. Like this stuff happens all the time. We're great. Like, and it's like burned into my memory. I don't think I've stood on a bench since.
Well,
so
that reminds me of when I helped you and I tripped the water and completely fell on my butt, and
Blake like tripped and he like fell into water. Like there was like water. That was the worst part. I helped Eden
with this amazing shoot that she put on, and I was just carrying a disco ball. Can't remember what I was carrying.
Oh, I felt so bad.
And there was a vase full of flowers. Knocked over the vase completely. Water fell. Took another step. On the ground next minute.
Dude, I felt so bad. It looked so bad. And you were just there helping me, being like the sweetest little bean, and then you just like died. I felt so bad. Oh my gosh.
It's just, you know what? That stuff happens.
It happens.
And it's entertainment for all involved except for yourself.
Except for yourself. Your pride really takes a hit.
My ego took a really big hit that day.
Yeah. Oh, this wedding was years ago, and I still sometimes I'm like, remember that one time I did that in front of everyone.
Yep. Awesome. The best.
Anyway, Blake, thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me and asking me. This has been so fun and beneficial for me. So
if people don't follow you, which if you don't, you should be, so now's your chance. Where can they like find you on all the social medias?
Yeah, so Instagram's just my name, @Blake Hogge. BlakeHogge.
And I was like, spell that out.
Yep. Yep. And website's the same.
Cool.
Pinterest is the same. Whatever you guys want to follow.
Follow him on all the things.
Yeah.
Because Blake is so good at, like, every time he posts, his audience is just like, Blake, we love you. We love you.
God.
Blake's the celebrity.
I'm not.
No, I love the way your followers love you.
No,
so be
I
his
try
new
my
follower.
best.
I love it. Okay, well, thanks for being here, Blake. Thanks for
you.
being on the show.
Thank you so much for asking me. It was
I'm
an honor.
pumped you're here.
Seriously, I'm a big fan of Eden. So it was
I just love you.
it's
I'm
the
so
easiest
glad
yes
you're
I've
here.
ever said.
Yay. Okay, we will see you guys next time.
See ya. Mess. There we go.